Yeah, but I just want to start off by saying thank you, Z. Thank you for taking time. I know I already said that, but just for the sake of this video,
Yeah,
I appreciate you taking time out. It's been a long time coming, to say the least. But I
yeah.
admire your work and your work ethic and what you do creatively. So it's a huge honor for me to have you on the show. So thank you for coming through.
No, thanks for having me. Yeah, it has been a long time coming. I think we started talking about this like months ago. But yeah, thanks for having me, and I hope we have a great chat.
I'm looking forward to it. I just want to start off by asking how you're doing. How has life been creatively and outside the creative stuff of it in 2022 so far?
Well, so that's a good question. I think I'm doing good. I have to say I'm doing good, and I'd say on the creative side, I've seen, um, I've had to adapt to a lot of different things, purely because of what just happened in the last 2 years in the entire world. I think things have really moved in a different direction for a lot of industries, a lot of people, and more specifically in the creative industry, we've had to sort of adapt to a new way of doing things. But I think it's also been kind of an advantage for us in the creative, and with regards to just how companies just ended up having to contact people like me, and be like, hey, we need to set ourselves up digitally and all these things. So it's been good, I have to say. But also, it's just been on a personal side for me. It's been a season where I've been trying to, learn new things and do new stuff that is challenging, um, and just trying to break away from just this cycle of doing the same thing over and over again. So I've been trying to do new things, even with my YouTube channel and on my Instagram. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with it, but I just don't want to do the same thing over and over again. If I may put it that way. I don't know if that answers the question.
No, it does answer the question in depth as well, which I like a lot. It just gives me the opportunity to ask more questions, But no, I appreciate what you're saying. It's been a very interesting period. It's been a very different period. Nothing we've ever experienced, at least in our lifetime. And you'd want to say something we hope we don't experience again, right? But it's taught us a lot of things, like you rightfully said. It's put us in situations where we've had to adjust, we've had to adopt, and we've had to evolve as individuals, just like normally. And then also in the creative side of life and the business side of life, we've had to do things we weren't, I guess, to say the least, weren't really prepared for or trained to do. But we're humans, and we adapt that way, which makes it like really super cool. And I know you mentioned your YouTube channel in there, which is something we're definitely going to be talking about in a bit.
Yeah.
Seeing that you've mentioned all the different things that have happened in this very interesting period, I think what I'm very interested to know is how it's affected your business, and how you've been able to navigate through it and remaining, relevant and still like making an income with what it is that you do as a content creator.
Yeah. Um, that's another good question. I think it's it's actually been a really interesting uh, way of doing things. So I just to explain how I operate. So I've got a day job, which is also in the creative industry. I work in advertising. And then as for content creation and so my YouTubing and all of that, that's more on my personal side of things. But I try by all means to sort of make everything work well and manage the time really well, because I do have responsibilities for my day job that I need to take care of course, on a Monday to Friday basis. But I also pursue creative stuff on the side, on my personal side. So I try to find um, uh, should I say, businesses or jobs that I can manage. So for me, I've always had this thing that I would rather have two um, jobs that I'm doing, but that I'm giving my everything to, and that I can manage really well. And I have to say this properly, since this is this will go public, but to also look for clients that are willing to or clients that have an appreciation of the work that I'm doing, um, as opposed to having 25 different clients that just don't understand what they even want from me. So um, when I then work on something, I give it my 100%. So purely because I have a day job, I don't have as much time to my personal things. So I just take up as much as I can, um, but give it my 100%. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's what I can say. Yeah.
That does answer your question, and you mentioned some very interesting things in there, and we'll definitely get to your day job. But in this, in respect of like you having a day job and then you also trying to chase something on the side, and then you said you've got responsibilities that you need to adhere to your day job. Obviously, now you can't take everything that comes at you, um, on the content creation side of life. Like not everyone who wants you to do something you will say yes to. So then how do you filter which jobs to take and which jobs not to take? And is it difficult then sometimes to say no to some of these things?
Yeah, it is. It is sometimes difficult because purely because my day job is more, I would say, more priority in terms of my contractual requirements. So it's always a priority. But I try by all means to have. So the way that I usually differentiate it is finding clients that I can do stuff for, not necessarily on work days or during the day, but it's stuff that I can do over time or during the weekend. So, for example, one of the things that I do uh, most of the times is product commercials. So this is stuff that I can do, after hours or anything, because I just need the product, and then I set it up in my small home studio that I have. And then I just, record the videos and then I edit them myself, which is the beauty of, being able to do most of these things yourself. Yeah.
And you're such a multifaceted individual. Like I've seen some of your work, and I was literally just like sitting down, and when I was preparing for this interview, and I was talking to someone, and I was like, I really don't think there's anything this dude doesn't do. Like when it comes to like graphic design, when it comes to video photography, you really are super creative. Like, how did you get to this point? What was it like growing up, and what was your life like for you to be able to be into all these different things?
Yeah, man. I've had such I have an interesting history, but so I didn't really know that this is, or rather, I wasn't really aware that this is what I liked doing back when I was, just a kid. But I know I used to love creating stuff, creating small stories and recording little clips. Back then with the ancient phones that had your 1 megapixel type of cameras.
Oh,
Um,
snap. Do
yeah,
you still have some of those
so
videos from way back?
uh, I don't think so. I mean, I do have a hard drive with old stuff, but I don't think the ones that I'm talking about, I don't think I have them. But yeah. So I mean, I used to play around in Microsoft PowerPoint back then when my dad had those old desktop computers. I used to play around in Microsoft PowerPoint and just playing around with stuff. But it's only fast forward to, I think, end of high school into university where, by the way, I did commercials and all of that. I actually have a degree in insurance and risk management. So that's so it's
Really?
yeah, it's actually something
I was going to
that's
get to that. It's very interesting. It's actually always very interesting to me to hear what it is that, most of these creative studies, because these are actually really educated people. Like, you would think, right, that, no, they're just like really into some creative stuff. And I would have never assumed you have a day job. Like, I 100% thought YouTube and content creation was your full-time job. So it comes as a shocker that, you actually have a full-time job that you're actually very much committed to. It's pretty impressive to be able to balance the two.
yeah, no, I mean it's one of the reasons why, never trust social media, because you think you know someone.
Yeah, you think you know someone
You think you know someone,
until
but
you get to know them.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, I it's as if I've lived two different lives. I definitely did a whole degree, 4 years in insurance and risk management. But as soon as I finished, at that point, I'd already made a decision that I want to pursue create the creative industry, and I started off with the advertising industry, where I was a graphic designer pretty much. At that time, I was just freelancing, and I then worked for an advertising agency in Zimbabwe, which is home country. And then a few months later, I decided to come here to Namibia, which is where I started working for another advertising agency, and I was a graphic designer then. But things were moving so fast because, like I said in the beginning of this interview, I don't really like being in the same place. So I like to continuously go, learning new things, new skills and stuff. So I was moving from graphic designer to motion design to, videography, and then filming and all of that. So I would say it was more of like just going up the ladder that way. And everything, I'd say 90% of the stuff that I know today with regards to the creative industry was just, trial and error, looking at, YouTube videos. And yeah, I didn't even do, how you have these free courses and stuff. I'll just,
None of that.
yeah, I'm
Hey,
just,
bruh, it's in your blood for real, dog. Like, what did your parents do, or siblings or uncle? Like, you can't just naturally like do what you do just like that, like make it make
yeah.
sense, bro. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. I honestly don't know, because no one in my immediate family does what I do. And even if I try to trace it back to maybe extended family, there are people that are in some sort of creative industry, but not exactly the way that I do stuff. For example, I have a cousin who's in the radio industry. But yeah, I honestly don't have an answer to how I got to where I am, but I just know that it's something that I just do because I love it, because I'm passionate about it, and
That's the beauty of it, eh?
yeah.
And I think that's what makes it so much easier to learn. I know I've tried to learn a new language a couple times, and I don't know, just because I'm not so much passionate about it's very difficult for me to find the momentum and the zeal to actually just do it. But I think for you and for a lot of other people creatively, and for a lot of different things that you end up learning because you're passionate about, you don't even realize the amount of time you're putting in to learn these things. It's just like a part of you. It just kind of happens. And you mentioned another very important thing is like a lot of what you know now and how good you are at what you do is trial and error. And I'm like, it's one of the things I live by is like experience is most definitely like the best teacher, you know. Like I don't think there's a better way to learn. You can watch as many videos as you want and buy as many textbooks and be in as many seminars. But if you don't go out and physically take photos and then come back and physically edit them by yourself and learn what your style is, you can never really figure it out, you know. So I appreciate what you said because I resonate with it a lot.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And I think one thing that I've found, having worked with different people over the past few years, is that I've worked with people that just like me, self-taught and everything, and then I've worked with people that have gone to school, for design and all of that, and I've just seen that there are pros and cons to it, but one of the pros of having you know done things yourself and trying to just figure things out trial and error is when you figure it out, it because not because you were told by someone or anything. How that thing functions. And one thing that I really think I've benefited from, and that I think self-taught people benefit from doing things the way they do them, is you are not boxed in a way of thinking. And this is just my personal opinion, but I'm not going to say this is fact or anything. But I think sometimes the danger of learning in a school setting is that there is the syllabus, or there is sort of a box that they create to say this is where everything lies, and you can't think outside of this box in terms of what you need to know about this program or industry or whatever. Whereas if you've never gone into that school system, you don't believe that this doesn't work, so you just try it anyway, and then when you try
gotta
it,
try it. Oh, I
you end
love
up finding out.
that.
Yeah. So that's what I like about self-taught people. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that so much, and I share the same sentiment. And it's very interesting now because I'm just coming from an interview from another podcast recording with another individual who's like, you know what, if you have the opportunity to go to school, just do it. Like, I don't see anything wrong with it. And before that, and none of the answers are wrong, like I see the value in what both of you people are saying, because I stand more with you than anything else. Like, I've just grown up thinking, you know what, the school system kind of does suppress you in how much you can imagine, how much you can express yourself. It's just kind of limited to, I need to get this mark and this is what we're being tested on, and that's it. And so when you go out and study and you go out and try new things, you're just sort of confined to what has to be done to get a good mark. And when you actually, I guess, in a creative space, actually try to express yourself and be creative and waver outside the syllabus, you're marked down for it. So it's kind of crazy what you're saying, and I resonate with it so much. And do you think that if you had the opportunity, you would have taken up that opportunity to be in a formal, creative school?
Yeah. If I had the opportunity, I think if I were to go back in time, I would, of course, swap my insurance degree with one of design school. So yeah, I would. I also definitely understand the needing to go to school, or the importance of school. I mean, you learn different things. Like I said, both sides have pros and cons. So I think I would have wanted to go, but I don't see it as a setback necessarily. As far as what I am able to do, because I just genuinely believe that you just work with what you have. The reality of the situation is, even if I had wanted to go to the school that I wanted to go to, school is expensive.
You don't need to tell me twice, bro.
Yeah, school is expensive. I like, sometimes I look at even just how the fees are right now, and I'm just like, wow, but the tricky thing with that is, fine, let's say you've got two people and one goes to school for this thing and the other one doesn't go to school, but they just try to learn the thing For those 4 years, they're just doing trial and error, trying to figure out how to do it. And then the other one is in school. And then let's say they get to the end of 4 years, the one who was doing trial and error has created a relationship with whatever company they've been working for, and they now know the systems of the company. The company is happy to have this person because they do it so well and they understand the company. And then you've this person who was in school for 4 years. They don't really know what to do practically in the industry, and they are now overeducated. So the company is going to be like, I think we're just going to stick with our guy because now we're bringing in someone who doesn't know our systems, and they're overeducated. So they're going to demand a higher salary, which is fine. I mean, you should know your worth. But I'm just thinking practically how I've seen things unfold in the industry. Companies are more willing to go with self-taught people who don't even have a degree as long as they can do what they do.
Mm. That is so true. And that's scary as well, man. Like when you think about it and you put it that way, it's like school's so expensive and I put so much money into this thing only for someone to say, we want someone who we know, who we trust and who can just like get the job done. And I've seen too many people, man, too many people who've learned things, not just creatively, but I've seen people teach themselves how to code, like straight up teach themselves how to code, no degree, no nothing, and they're just killing it when it comes to programming. And it's like the world we live in now has so many of those resources available for free. I mean, the only thing you're literally paying for is electricity and Wi-Fi. And if you've got that and you've got the commitment, I'm pretty sure there's nothing you can't teach yourself. So we're living in a very interesting time. We're living in a very different time where you kind of need to really weigh the pros and cons of these things. Like you said, they are both pros and cons to these things. But you mentioned something very interesting in there about knowing your worth. And you also mentioned something about, doing a finance degree. But that just got me thinking about, your value, your worth, and how you price yourself as a freelancer, as a business, as a content creator. Like, when did you realize? I know when we start, most of us, it's just like, freelance stuff, portfolio, do it for free. But like, when did you realize that, Flip, I can make money out of this? And then when you did realize that, how did you go about, pricing yourself and being stern with how you price yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. And yeah, when I started off, I was just like I said, for me, passion. So I was like, I can do this for free as long as I get to do it. It was more of being happy that there are actually people who would want me to do this for them. So it was just more of a passion thing. But over time, of course, you start to know your worth. You start to know that you need to bring in the business element side of things. So I'll say that it was a journey of figuring out what I'm okay with, what are the industry rates, what do other people do, what do other people charge, and that has a lot to do with dealing with different people, asking other creatives how they do their books and how they price their things. But I think fast forward to now, I generally I price my things or my services the way I think that I am worth, because back then I used to just give the price for, let's say, just that particular job. I wouldn't take into consideration the gear that I'm using. I wouldn't take into consideration the conceptualization time or scout location, things like that. I wouldn't take into consideration my experience. There's a meme that I saw the other day where I don't know if it was a meme, but it was talking about how someone spent 10 years doing something so that they can do it in 10 minutes. So you're not paying for the 10 minutes, you're paying for the 10 years that they spent learning how to do it for 10 minutes. So that's something that I also learned, a few years ago, but 2 years ago, that, you need to cater for that as well. The reason why you can do something effectively and efficiently, because people buy, the reason why people are willing to buy a certain, like, for example, I'll say water. The reason why people are willing to go to the shops to buy a bottle of water is because they don't really want to go to the dam and start purifying that water and start doing all the processes, like
That's true. That's so
that's
true.
that yeah, that's not convenient for them. So they'll rather look for someone who is able to eliminate all that stress and stuff for them, and can give them that product, and guarantee them that this is safe and everything. So same thing in the creative industry, that um, when you can guarantee your clients that you are effective, and you are they can rely on your work, they can rely on your time, you deliver on time, you do everything properly the way they want it, and it's quality stuff, people are willing to pay for that. So again, I mean, I digress, but that's how I I price my things. So I consider the gear I'm using. So if I'm shooting something, if it's a video, if I'm doing the production, I'm doing the post production, I'll take into account the gear that I'm using, and then I'll charge for that. I'll charge a certain percentage for that, and then I'll charge for my own labor, and then I will charge for my experience. I hope my clients are not watching this, but I do put my experience in that fee, because I am delivering a service, and I'm going to be held accountable for it. I'm not just designing a logo for you so that I never see you again. No, I'm actually interested in your journey as a company. That's why when I design a logo for a client, I go through a process with them of asking them, what do they want to achieve? What's the company about? What inspired this? Where do you want to go 10 years from now, 5 years from now? So that it's a journey that the logo is going to be able to, to live that long, and give them that whatever image or vision that they want. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. I won't mention actual figures of how I price my things, but that's generally how how I go about it.
Nah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, man. And I think there's really nothing like going off topic on this podcast, man. Just like, I appreciate you just like really just going out and expressing yourself and talking about things. That's really what it's about, just like giving people the opportunity to speak, because we really don't get to do that often. But I love what you mentioned about building a relationship with the customer. It goes beyond just you delivering the service, getting paid, and they're just another dollar sign on your accounts. It's just building that relationship, and then seeing this company grow, and seeing what you've done for them have an effect on how they grow, and the impact it has on their clients and things like that. So I think approaching your work that way definitely makes it a lot more special. It definitely gives it a lot more value, and gives your work, I guess, that longevity that it needs. When you just are lacking in some kind of inspiration, lacking in some kind of kind of creative block, where you're stuck in your processes, just looking back at what you've done and where it's at now, and you're like, okay, you know what? There's no way I can stop now. Let's keep trying. Let's keep pushing. And I appreciate that so much. But you keep mentioning so many interesting things, right? And you talk about gear a little bit, and how what you charge has an effect, is affected by the kind of gear that you have, which makes sense. Totally fine, right? But speaking of gear, and I know a lot of people struggle to start, or struggle to think that they can tackle whatever challenges lay in front of them, creatively speaking, because of the gear that they have or don't have, right? So my question to you is, and it's no secret that you've got the gear, right? Like we know you got the gear, but I think what someone would want to know, right? What someone who's just starting would want to know is, how do you get to where you are? Right? We've been told, okay, you know what, start with what you have. That's cool. Make the best of what you have. But how do I get to a point where I can afford the gear that I want? Like, what did you do in your life, in your way of living, in your way of budgeting, etc., etc., to be able to save up enough or afford the kind of gear that you have now?
Yeah. Yeah, good question. And first thing that I will say, I actually have done videos before on my YouTube as well. I think
Yeah,
there's
we'll
one
leave a
where I
link in the
actually,
description for that, and then people can just like go subscribe to your channel as well, you know?
yeah. People need to subscribe. Subscribe. um, um, my channel is Z Koza, by the way. But anyways,
I
there's a
love it.
video that I there's a video that I did about start where you are, and it was pretty much talking about that. Start with what you have. Just start. At the end of the day, the best gear you have is the one you have. But in I would like to say in this particular podcast, gear matters. Like it actually matters. There's a very like when you know how to use something, there's a huge difference when you can, because I work with different cameras on a weekly basis, from your really small from the phone camera itself to mirrorless cameras to Blackmagic cinema cameras, and you can see the difference of what you can achieve with that gear. But I think the reason why it's important to start where you are is so that you learn, you start learning to use whatever you have. Because we always had this, I always use this example. Me and my brother used to play FIFA quite a lot when we were both still staying at our parents' place. And, we didn't really have a lot of things to do. It was just, let's play FIFA. But we usually had, um, we usually had like sometimes would have two controllers. One wouldn't be that great, and the other one would be really nice. So the other one would probably have one analog stick that's not really working really well. And we always used to say, if you're able to defeat someone with that controller that doesn't work really well, then when you get the controller that works really well, you'll just be like twice or three times as better, because you've mastered how to use. Yeah. So because you've mastered how to use the the lesser controller than the one that works really well. So it's the same with gear. I'd say that just start with what you have, so that you just start to learn the basics. Because when you get the big guys, you're gonna be able to do crazy stuff. I don't know if that kind of explains it, but that's how I put it. And with regards to getting where you are, so I'm actually not where I want to be yet. If anything, I feel like I still I still want to, I'm still yet to get to 50% of where I want to be with regards to gear.
Z.
No, I'm being for real. I've
Wow.
maybe it's just my big dreams and goals that I have, but I think it's just doing it's doing enough research. So just trying to be as careful as possible. Trying not to spend money that you don't necessarily need. So, for example, I don't own a drone, but it's actually a really good thing to have, but it's not necessary for me, because the type of work that I do most of the times, it doesn't require drones. So it'd be cool for me to have a drone, and so that everyone knows that I have a drone, but it'll probably sit in my drawer for like weeks before I need to use it. So that's something that you can hire out, once in a while when you need. But the most important thing is to invest with because camera equipment is expensive. It's important to invest with the idea of upgrading in the future. And you want to make that process as easy as possible so that you don't have to keep on buying new things all the time. But you'd rather not have a camera for 2 years just trying to save for it than trying to buy the cheapest camera and then trying to buy another cheap camera, and then that won't work.
I love what you're saying so much. So many things, but I can only touch on a few, obviously. And one of the things that I love is that aspect you mentioned, like you don't have a drone, because you don't need it right now. It's not necessary. If I do get it, everybody's gonna know I have it, but it's gonna sit in my wardrobe until I can actually use it for the next 3-4 weeks or whatever. And it reminds me of a post that I saw Derek posted, right? And he's like, content creators who go out there and buy a drone before they get good audio and good lighting, which is actually so true. And I felt attacked because I was that person. I was literally that person. I had a drone before I had good audio and good lighting, right? But it's true, and it wasn't really a priority for me to have it at the time, And I think I'm growing and learning these things as I grow, as I mature, and as I sit down and talk to more people like you, to content creators from all over the world, and I'm learning these things. But there are certain things, you rightfully say, that are more important when you really look at what it is that you're trying to achieve now and in the long term as a content creator. And if you're able to categorize those things properly and prioritize them properly, I think then you're able to reach your goal and get to the gear that you need in the now sooner rather than later, if you really plan it properly, So I appreciate you sharing that. I appreciate you sharing that a lot.
If I can just add as well that I think if you have a mindset of reinvesting 100% of your income, like the first year or two, then you also manage to. So, for example, with me, everything that in my first year, all the money that I was getting from all the jobs that I was doing, I was just reinvesting them into buying more gear, buying more equipment that I need. But I'll also say that I've made mistakes as well and learned from those mistakes of buying something that I don't necessarily need. I mean, it would be cool for me to have this thing, but it's just sitting and not doing anything. So, I suppose we learn from our mistakes.
We definitely learn from our mistakes. I love that you mentioned that. It's really, really dope. I'm just thinking now that you mentioned that you are in Namibia, but you are Zimbabwean, you're from Zimbabwe, you've lived in Zimbabwe. Question is, did you do anything remotely creative when you were still in Zim, and then continue just doing creative stuff when you moved to Namibia?
No, actually, when I was in Zim, I was I was doing so before I came to Namibia, I'd already started doing, creative stuff, but that was just in Zim. I was just doing it there. When I moved here, it was just, there was no connection at all to any company that I had worked with before here. I just moved and just continued doing, creative stuff here. I mean, looked for a job, did the whole, thing of finding a job. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, so it does answer the question, but then it leads me to wanting to find out what it's like what's the difference like, like you're mentioning, having to start again, having to build a network and market yourself again, and really try and sell your value, but what's the differences? What are some of the biggest differences that you've realized in terms of the creative environment that Zimbabwe has and that Namibia has?
Okay. That's a good question. I hope I frame it properly. The first thing that I'm gonna say, which is gonna be kind of a roast of my own people, but I can safely tell you that the creative industry here is way better for the creative. the environment is way better for the creative, probably because of the difference in economies. But one simple example that I can tell you is, if you're a designer, videographer, or you just whatever you do in the creative industry, if you quote a Zimbabwean client, rest assured they're gonna want to negotiate. They're gonna want the lowest price possible, almost 90% of the time, if not all the time. But but
That's so true, bro.
yeah, but I mean, here in Namibia, I think I can count in the last 4 years, I can count the number of people or the number of times someone has asked me to quote them, to give them a discount. I can count in the last 4 years. That's how the difference there is. Like, people respect your pricing, they respect your work. If they can't afford, they won't engage your services. If they can, they'll just pay the money. And most of the times, some people here actually pay in full. They don't pay the 50% deposit or anything. They'll just pay already before you do everything. They paid in full.
That must be nice.
Yeah, it is nice. But again, I'll put a disclaimer to say maybe it's just the people that I've dealt with. I genuinely believe that with the stuff that I've learned in the past, that you attract the customer. Let me put this the right way. You attract the customer who wants the kind of work that you do. I hope I phrased that well. But essentially what I'm trying to say is...
I get it.
Yeah, it's essentially what I'm saying is, if you do cheap stuff, then you're going to get clients who want cheap stuff. You're going to be recommended to clients who want cheap stuff. And that's all you're going to get. But if you do quality stuff for people who are willing to pay for quality things and are not willing to question you, you're going to be recommended to those kind of people. So, those are the kind of people you end up getting. So maybe there are people who negotiate in Namibia and everything, but I haven't experienced it when, with the work that I've done here. But moving on to how the move was, it was difficult in the sense that I'm a foreigner, and learning everything is new, the language, the places, everything. And being a creative, you want to tap into the local lingo, the local, everything, because that's what you're going to be appealing to. But I have to say that it was tough in the first year. But after that, it was kind of easy, because Namibian people are actually really nice people. They're not necessarily, I wouldn't say they have this thing of not liking foreigners or anything. So even if you have language barriers, you still manage to communicate one way or another, and you wouldn't be afraid that you're offending anyone or anything like that. So it took time, but it's just the normal process of living in a new country, having new things, new cultures, new languages, new places. I probably have only explored 30% of Namibia at this point.
And how many years have you been there now?
I'm going on 5 now. I've been here for 4. Yeah.
That is a long time.
Wow. Well, not really. Yeah, I mean, I know people who've been here for 20 years, so yeah.
And do you plan on staying there permanently, or you just seeing where the Lord takes you?
I like the last statement. I think I am seeing where the Lord takes me. But honestly, I love Namibia. It's just the only reason why I would actually want to leave this place would be the immigration laws here. They're pretty heavy, and they really have a high priority in terms of prioritizing Namibian citizens. So it's kind of difficult to get citizenship in Namibia, it's really, really difficult. And even having to renew my work permit, it's always a mission. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean that's the only reason why I would opt to then leave the country. But apart from that, I actually like it. It's nice and quiet here. Namibia only has 2 million people in the entire country, and I live in Windhoek, and it's just over, I think it's 200,000 people, if I'm correct, 200 and something thousand people. So it's very quiet. It's a quiet country, not too busy, but you know, fairly good economy.
That sounds nice, and I think um, as a content creator, you need a space where you feel comfortable. And sometimes it's very subconscious and you don't realize it, but the kind of environment that you live in and the things that surround you might negatively impact your creativity, and you don't realize it. Like, flip, I'm stuck. Like, what is going on? But it's the space and the people that surround you that impact your creativity a lot, and either pull it down or lift it up. And for you, um, who are or was it a huge thing to have people around you who supported what it is that you had your mind set out to do? And did you get that support that you needed?
Yeah, no, I because when I moved, I think the people that I worked with in the advertising agency were really good people. So it made the transition really smooth and better, because there wasn't actually at the agency. There's no barrier of language barrier or anything. Everyone speaks English fluently and everything. So I didn't struggle there. The only times that I would struggle is when I have to go out and on set and have to interact with people that don't necessarily speak English. But I think, yeah, having other creatives who sort of made me go into the industry smoothly and transition and everything was really good. So that was very helpful, I must say. Yeah.
It's needed. It's very needed, and I've seen the benefit of. I think it's a two-way street. A lot of the times we speak about, or I speak about, wanting to be supported and wanting people to be out there and helping each other out. But it also comes at putting yourself out there in the first place. You're really not gonna get anyone coming and knocking on your door and like, hey, are you in there? Do you need
Yeah.
support? You kind of
Yeah.
just like really need to put yourself out there, right? Apply yourself, be willing to learn, be willing to ask questions, and be willing to be criticized for some of the work that you do by other creatives. Positive criticism, of course. But like, speaking of criticism, have you, being a face on the internet, that's weird to say, but being a face on the internet, having a YouTube channel and an Instagram and a social presence, have you had people speak down on your work? And if you have, how have you dealt with that? Have you ever experienced anything like that?
Mm. Yeah, that's very. It's a good question, and um, maybe flowing from what you just said before, just before I answer this question, is that I agree with what you said, and one of the things that I think, I'm someone who came from a, how do I put it? I wasn't necessarily a people person when it when it comes to doing things together. I liked to do things by myself, and that was it. But sooner or later, I realized that I need people. I need people to be around me and to feed into or speak into whatever I'm doing, give me advice and all of those things. So to answer your question, yes, I have received a lot of criticism, uh, but not more than I received good comments. So I'll just put that out there. But I think by the time I started my YouTube channel, I had prepared myself to receive criticism, no matter no matter where it was coming from, or if it was constructive, or if it was just someone hating or someone saying something nice. I just was putting myself there with that mindset already, that anything can happen, people can like stuff or whatever. But the reason why I then started it is so that I would actually get into that space where, I've made something, it's now online for everyone to either like or dislike or roast me or say that I'm lying or whatever. And it's fine, because you learn from that. You learn from how to handle the criticism, how do you respond to people not liking what you do. So yeah, I have a few comments ever since I started my YouTube. I have a few comments of people that were just plain out saying that I suck, type of thing. But I think that's probably just 2 comments in the last.
What's the abuse, bro?
Yeah, but for me, I always then in those situations I focus on the hundreds of comments of people saying, you know what, bro, we really like what you're doing. We want to see more. So I focus on that and just ignore these other 2.
That's good, and we need that, man. Like, we definitely need to feed off positivity, because what's going to happen is that you're going to continue to grow, man. Like, your channel is going to continue to grow, your social presence is going to continue to grow, and the more you grow, the more people see your stuff, and the more opinions you're going to get, right? And I know you did a video on opinions, which I loved, by the way. But like, just being able to stay focused and remember why it is you started in the first place, and then also just like seep energy off the good comments, because there's, like you said, almost always there are good comments. The good comments outweigh the bad comments. Sorry. Yeah, like almost all the time, like, yeah, there's not even a comparison as to how many people are willing to support you than those that are just like willing to pull you down. So it's difficult, obviously, to separate yourself from that. Some people struggle with it, some people deal with it better, but just kind of remembering why it is you started in the first place is just like a beautiful thing to hold on to. And on that, my question is then, why did you take your presence to YouTube? Like, why did you start a YouTube channel, and what is it that you hope to achieve with it?
Yeah. So the initial reason why I started the YouTube was to break from a cycle, because, like I said, my day job is an agency job, and it does get to a certain point where you are sort of recycling. I think if anyone watches this and they are in advertising agencies, they'll know that you end up like recycling almost the same kind of style of things, and you can't really move out of that or step out of it because it's guided by brand manuals or anything like that. So for me, going into the YouTube space was to just do what I like to do. I don't need to get approval from a client or from my superior or anything. Like, literally, when I finish it, I can post it and I approve it. So it was more to do stuff that is out of the cycle, and trying to just do, figure out what I like to do, figure out what people like to see, just explore and have fun, and share some of the things that I think are important. That's why I do like tutorials, but I also share tips. Then I also share just random videos of me doing like video stuff. So it was more just to have fun, honestly. And my YouTube channel is not monetized yet. So that's why I have the energy to do it.
All in good time, my man.
It's hard, man. I need the subs. People can.
Let's get it. Those who are listening right now, let's go to Z-Course's channel and just like show them some love. Let's do that. Can you do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's also something like that takes time. And I know when I got into it initially, my heart was trying to get the subs. Now that just you've mentioned it, mentioned getting the subs and reaching a certain milestone. That was where my focus was like the whole time, and I had to stop and readjust myself only after I got into it and be like, okay, no, I need a different reason for doing this thing. And I see you having fun in your videos, genuinely, like, and I love so much what you're doing because you're not constricted to one thing. Like, you don't go to Z Cause's channel and expect to see, just tutorials or just tech videos or just vlogs. Like, it's a surprise every time you drop a video and it's like, okay, what are we seeing today? Which I love so much, right? Like, I know a lot of people in the past, I know it's changed now, but in the past you'd be like, pick a niche and stick to that, don't change and just like focus on that and like just build an audience on that one niche. But you can't constrict the creative mind that way. And I love how you're building yourself up uh, to be someone who's unpredictable, because that's what art and creativity is, man. Like, you never know what you're gonna get once you put your pencil to the canvas or once you grip the camera and you're ready to shoot. It's always a mystery, and that's what makes it so beautiful. So I love what you're doing, and I just encourage you to keep pushing, encourage you to keep going, and encourage you to remain consistent. You're doing a very good thing.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. And even just feeding off of what you just said, I always one of the reasons why I do try different things and do different things is I honestly every day I I try to learn something and I try to tap into my creative mental I don't know what to call it, but I try to tap into my brain as much as possible, because I genuinely believe that where we are going with technology and how these companies are really going, crazy with advancements, with, just how gear works. I think in a couple of years, your best bit at being valuable would be your brains. So your creativity. How creative are you? How are you able to take something and turn it into a story? That's gonna be, because at the end of the day, we are all gonna get these cameras. We're all gonna get these things that can do stuff for us, and it's all automatic. It's got auto color correction and all of that. But one thing that we won't be able to make is your creativity. So just trying to stay as creatively sharp as possible is what I try to focus on all the time. So yeah, but thanks so much for everything.
Oh no, it's a pleasure, man. And you say something that's very cool and interesting as well. And you see it already with just anyone who has a cell phone, anyone who has a very recent cell phone. We're talking about 2-3 years going back up until now, can snap a picture and be like, what the heck was that taken with the phone? So people have access. People have access to the means and ability to be able to create. We're talking about graphic design software on your phone on the go for free. So there's so much going on in the space that's giving everyone an ability to try, but it's like you're saying, your creative sharpness, your ability to think outside the box and present a story that's captivating. That's where the difference is, and that's where the marker is. So hey, you make me a little bit scared there that everybody's just gonna have a camera and just everybody's gonna be able to do it. But that's the reality of life. And if anything, I think it makes me happy to get the entire world in the space, because it's such a freeing space. It's so beautiful to be able to express yourself in any shape and form. Be it music, dance. If you're a chef, if you cook, if you bake, if you take photos, whatever it is, to be able to have an outlet that's so pure is wow. It's beyond. It's actually beyond. But I wanted to find out what it is that you enjoy most about everything that you do. And I know you're into a lot of different things, but is there any one thing that stands out to you the most?
So with regards to what I like doing, and apart from this, so I think I'm just into the creative side. So I do music. I was or I am a recording artist, but I
Wait, what? Wait, what? Bring it back, bro. What you talking about?
yeah, but I mean, like I said,
What?
I feel like I've lived different lives, but I think the last time I recorded a song was, that was 2000 and, yeah, 2020. That was the last time I recorded a song. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so
Jigs.
so I mean, it's something that I just love doing, but unfortunately, it's something that I had to sort of let go of, in terms of like, I couldn't be a performing artist, or be full time into it, because I had to pick and choose between either music or the film industry or design. So I just had to make a tough decision. But I mean, I enjoy music. I jam almost every week here in my home, on acoustic and stuff. And I just like to 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 how do I put this? I like to make like funny videos of stuff, like be it like just a skit or whatever. I actually used to post a lot of them on Instagram, but sometimes I don't get the time, and I haven't been posting a lot of those. But like just little skits of how you can make like little illusions and stuff, using computer software. And I'm also a gamer. I play a lot of games. Not as much, especially when I have.
What's your favorite game?
So FIFA, like I mentioned before, uh, Call of Duty, those are like literally the two games that I've played the most in my entire life.
I feel like I'm personally a FIFA man. Like it's probably like the only game that I can actually play, and I don't think it's a game. I think some of these things are like a lifestyle. They're more than just a game. They go beyond just like I was sitting and playing FIFA with one of my friends, and then we had another friend of ours who like does not understand why a lot of people are into FIFA. But we're like, you know what? The truth is, when you really look at it, there's so many deep conversations that happen when people are playing video games. Like, you wouldn't believe how calm and relaxed people become and just like let out things. It's actually just like crazy therapy. But like, I, I love that you have so many other things outside creativity, that when the creative side of life does get like a little bit hectic, a little bit demanding, and sometimes you just get like really stuck, you have other places to kind of release, other places where you can like just take time out to relax and collect yourself again, which is a beautiful thing. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Thanks. I actually forgot to mention one thing, which has been more of a recent thing, but I like to help out my wife, because she bakes. So it's sort of like it's a creative side of me that I can just also give my input, because I mean it's still creativity in a way. So yeah, in my free time, I also just help out with that. I don't get paid though, so
Yeah, she's gonna be watching this.
it's a free service.
But I love that, and I think it just
Yeah,
like
she's
leads me on
probably
to.
gonna kill me, but it's fine.
I think it just like leads me to another question, another very interesting one. I've been speaking to a lot of different creatives. I think one I was speaking to was like, I'm getting married sometime this year, and then the other dude is like, I'm getting married next month, and then like you're here and you're like, you're married. Like, how is married life? Just like generally speaking, how has it been for you, and what are some of the things that you're learning and things like that?
Yeah, married life is is really good. The reason why I actually drag my answer there is because I'm gonna speak for myself. Because I know when it comes to marriage, people are just like, "Are you being for real?" For me, it's honestly, yeah, for me, it's honestly been amazing. The first, we've been married now for like just over a year, and I our first year has just been great. And I know there are people who are gonna watch this and be like, honeymoon phase. Yeah, it's fine. We will we will definitely call it whatever, but it's just been amazing. But for me, uh, it was more of what I appreciate the most is we are two people that complement one another in the sense of what we do. And for me, that was a big deal, especially going into marriage. It's like you are, today as a single person, I can just decide, I need a new lens, or I need a new light, or I need a new tripod. Let me go out and get it. But now, you can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go get a tripod, because you put in your,
It's like you've got a family now, and like you need to budget for that.
Exactly. You get a family, you've got like different responsibilities now. But if I'm to be honest, I haven't felt a bad change in my life. It's just the only change that has happened has been good. Um, and I've honestly just been like, I know even my wife, like when because I started YouTube before we got married, so it wasn't like necessarily a big deal. But when I had to now like continue making YouTube videos and we're now living together, she didn't have an issue with, like when I say, okay, I'm gonna go record a YouTube video, she knows what that means. It means I'm gonna go set up the lights, set up everything, put everything, and I need complete
Yes,
science.
sir.
You can't be making noise or stuff. Like she knows what that means. It's not an issue. And it's like small things. I won't talk about like everything, marriage, anything, but I'm just talking about on the creative side. She loves the stuff that I do. I love the stuff that she does, and there are no issues there, man. So like my one advice to anyone in the creative industry is marry someone who understands the creative industry. Very important, because you gotta have a hard time explaining yourself, explaining why you need a something as simple as an SSD hard drive, like an SSD that is super expensive.
What do you need that
Yeah.
for?
Yeah, what is that? So yeah, but for me it's been great in a nutshell. Yeah.
That is absolutely beautiful, Z. Like, and I've seen it. Like, I've seen your wife really pull through and feature in some of your videos, and like just do what you ask her to do. Like it's such a beautiful thing, like you said, to have someone who understands you. I've seen you work on some of her stuff, and I've seen her work on some of your stuff, and just the importance of having someone who understands, who can relate, and then who can like help you uplift and continue to grow in this thing without feeling like, am I'm being dragged down, or am I dragging them down by doing this thing. um so it's one thing to have like a super supportive partner, but then it's also another thing to have a supportive partner who's also a creative. Like, that's just golden, man. Like, so I appreciate your guys' relationship, and I appreciate you sharing as well, and just like opening up about how that's been. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people can learn a lot from that, but it's been absolutely fantastic just like sitting down and chatting to you. I really appreciate you coming through and sharing and opening up about different things. And I really hope we can do this again sometime in the future. Just have one more question, and then we're going to play a short game of Would You Rather just to close this off. But thank you, Z, for being here. It's been an honor, man.
Absolutely appreciate it, man. I think the honor is mine, and it's been a good chat, and I'm glad that this is now happened, since it's been in the, so we've been trying to do this for months now, but I'm happy to be here, man. Thanks.
I'm glad. Yeah, it's been in the pipeline for a long time, and it's a very long pipe, man. Like it's been waiting for a while, but I think all good things, come in good time. Like just being patient and just waiting it out. And I think I wouldn't have picked a better time than this. So thank you. My last question is, what or who inspires you to go out and shoot videos and shoot photos and do all this creative stuff every day? Like, what's your motivating factor, or who is your motivating factor, or both?
Survival. I need to live. I need to make money.
I need to eat, bro. I need to put food on the table.
I need to
pay
put
rent.
Food, I need to put food on the table. I mean, we just spoke about marriage. I mean, I got a family.
That's the best answer I've gotten ever to that question. Like, flip.
I mean, I have to say, like for me, it's generally the eagerness to do stuff and keep growing. I mean, I probably saying this for the third time, but I don't like to be in the same place. I like to keep on doing new stuff, reaching new heights, and that's one of the main reasons why I go out. But definitely, one of the major reasons is, we gotta make the money. So there's only one way.
You gotta make the cheddar, bro.
There's only one way we can do that. We can do what we can do best. And it's sort of like balancing that for, there are like goals, short-term goals, long-term goals, in my career. And like doing certain things consistently, which is going out, getting new clients, doing new things. It's sort of like the process of achieving that over time, and hopefully one day I'll get to the top of the mountain and be like, I'm here now. I'm here. I don't need to go to work anymore.
That sounds beautiful. Oh, that sounds beautiful. Would you like a situation though where content creation is your full-time job? Like, you've got enough clients, you've got enough of a business running, that you can consistently rack in enough money to just live the utmost comfortable life. Like, would you take that opportunity if it presented itself and actually just like leave being able to report into a full-time 9-to-5 job?
Absolutely, I'll take it with both hands. I think it's just
and feet.
Absolutely. That I think it's just that the dynamics of content creation are still quite different in different parts of the world. So here in Namibia, I think I probably would be speaking for the entire southern part of this continent of Africa. It's still very much a foreign thing, content creation. It's not where we would want it to be yet, and purely because you'd rely on working with actual businesses. They don't necessarily appreciate it yet as something that they need or something that they are willing to pay for, because companies work with budgets and all of that. So you can't just rock up and be like, hey, I'm going to charge you this much to do content creation. They're going to be like, hey, who said we need content creation? So so it's kind of a difficult thing, and for me, having to actually have the clients that I have, most of them or some of them, I've had to actually pitch ideas to them in a way that would give them appreciation of what it is that I'm doing. Whereas I think in certain parts of the world, in the West and all that, content creation is a thing. It's there. affiliate marketing is a thing. It's there. People know it. Businesses know it. You don't necessarily have to go out of your way to pitch the idea. You just need to let them know of what you can do. So I would definitely, given the opportunity that I can sustain myself with content creation, and maybe if I get my YouTube monetized, hopefully sometime soon, get, people.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I don't doubt it. I do not doubt it at all.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm just trying not to make videos with the mindset of getting monetized, because then it will lose the initial idea of why I started it. So whenever that happens, I will definitely take the opportunity with both hands.
Hey man, we are out here supporting your channel, and we've been for as long as we've known it, and I can only honestly see great things happening with it. And we'll keep supporting it, we'll keep pushing it, and getting it to where you want it to be, and even further. And I think just God has an amazing way of doing those things. We kind of just pray for one, and He gives us two. So it's all gonna come. It's all gonna come when it comes, man.
Yeah,
I don't doubt that.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. I think just to close us off, we're gonna play a short game of Would You Rather. So I've got 5 questions, and I'm just gonna ask, would you rather this or that? And some of the things are completely unrelated, which makes it very interesting and quite difficult to answer. But it's just to see how you think, see what Z would do in a certain situation. So the first one is, would you rather go back to the age of 5 with everything you know now, or know now everything your future self will learn?
Ooh, I'd rather go back to age of 5. Yeah.
Bro, that's not healthy, bro.
Yeah, I'd rather.
Imagine a 5-year-old with with all this knowledge, bro.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I would, yeah, because there's a couple of things I would want to do differently. So,
yeah. Nah, I respect that.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
that actually does make sense.
Yeah, because
okay, the next one is Sorry, you can speak.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say. What if my future self is dead? So now I just know what my at least I know where I'm going back. You see what I'm talking about? Yeah.
This gent.
Yeah.
You're a smart dude. You think way ahead, bro.
Yeah.
Way ahead.
Yeah.
Way ahead of all of us. I love that. Okay, that makes sense. So we go back to the age of 5. Okay, the next one is, would you rather be able to dodge anything, no matter how fast it's moving? So just an ability to dodge, a superpower to just dodge, or be able to ask any 3 questions and have them answered accurately?
Oh, I'd go with have any 3 questions answered. Yeah.
Where would you use that? Where would you actually use that?
I don't know, but I feel like I have questions that I need answers to. I think, yeah, I think I would have certain questions, that I would want to ask the president of Zimbabwe.
That is well said, my man.
Yeah.
And everyone else, in that circle, just please tell us. We just want to know.
Please. We just want to know. Come on.
You see, you keep making me change my answer, because in my head I would have said I would want to dodge anything, because I'm thinking if I'm out and I don't have an umbrella and it's raining, I'm gonna get home dry.
Yeah.
Because I can dodge.
It's fine.
That's the only thing I'm thinking of. But I think being able to ask certain people in power with certain questions is a pretty powerful ability,
It is.
Okay, so the next one is: would you rather be forced to dance every time you heard music, or be forced to sing along to any song you heard?
Be forced to sing along. Very much an easy
Yeah, because
one
you're
for
a
me.
musician. Like that's
Yeah,
a rhetoric. That's we
yeah,
didn't need to ask that.
yeah. It's a
We didn't need to ask that.
be forced. Yeah.
But I'm curious, how are you? How are your moves on the dance floor?
Uh I'm like a. If I were to put a rating on myself, I'll say like I'm a 6.5, 7 maybe. Yeah, but 7 is
And your
generous.
wife would agree.
I think
And your wife would agree.
I think she would agree. But well, she can't speak for herself now. so so we'll just
I
go
love
with my
that.
rating. So yeah.
Let's cap it at a 7, nice and even 7 out of 10. That's good. Like you're a good dancer, bro. Like sheesh,
Yeah,
7
it
is high.
also. I'd have to say it also depends with because I did a lot of Afro pop and jazz in high school. So I wouldn't say in every genre it's a 7. In other genres, it's like 3. You know, it's like so it
So it
depends.
depends.
Yeah, it depends with the genre. So yeah,
I love your honesty, man. I
yeah,
appreciate
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, the next one is: would you rather move to a new city or town every week, or never be able to leave the city or town you were born in?
Ooh. Never have to live. That's a tough one. Uh
Bro. Which
yeah.
city were you born in? That's the question.
Um okay. I was born in Harare, but I'll say that um travel every month to a new city.
It's
Yeah.
every week, bro. Like move
Every
to a new
week
city every week. Every week, bruh.
of my life. Okay, fine.
Ah, nah, man. That's not sustainable.
Okay, I'll change it back to okay. I thought it was every month. I was gonna be like, yeah, maybe.
It's
Okay, yeah. Every week
it's a
is
little
a
bit ridiculous.
yeah.
It's
Okay,
it's a
stay
bit
stay
much.
stay in my city. Yeah, stay in my city.
You, you gotta love Harare. Hey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to.
Okay, we got one more. Just to
Mm.
wrap it up. Would you rather have whatever you are thinking to appear above your head for everyone to see, or have absolutely everything you do live streamed for anyone to see? So to have your thoughts pop up in your head in a little bubble for everyone to see, or your every second of your life is streamed live.
I'd have every second of my life streamed because there are things that are okay for me to stream and I want people to know. And then yeah, there are a few things that I do that are private, but I suppose I don't have a lot of choices. Whereas with thoughts, everything is private, and you are now exposing it. So I mean, I think of some of the
That's so
craziest things,
true.
man. I think of the craziest things. So no, no, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean, imagine all your ideas, all your entrepreneurial creative ideas, just like there for everyone to just have a peek at and be like, you know what? I'm gonna pick that one and imitate it. I'm gonna
yeah,
pick that one and imitate it. Like that's just not it, man. You don't want
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. No, you don't.
You don't want that at all.
Yeah.
Nah, that makes sense. I think I agree with you. I definitely picked that one as well. But it's been fantastic. Again, I think for like the fifth time I'm saying this. Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor, and definitely hope to stay in touch. Continue to see you grow. Continue supporting your hustle, and hopefully we can do this again sometime in the future. Maybe hopefully in person this time.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. That would be great. That would be great. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was a really good chat and tapping into a few things Thanks for having me, and thanks to your audience as well for listening in. But yeah, I do look forward to doing this again sometime.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Cheers
Yeah.
and take care.
Cheers, man. Take care. Have a good one.